News at 5 on 2 Works For You starts right now.
Right now at 5, newly released video of body cam video of a deadly police shooting in Muskogee. 2 News working for you tonight with live team coverage in Muskogee as well as back at the TV station. In fact, our entire team of reporters working to cover every angle of this story. Good evening and thanks for joining us for 2 News at 5. I'm 2 News anchor Russ McCaskey. We are live tonight in Muskogee where over the weekend there was a police-involved shooting. Today, newly released videotape, body cam video from the police officer. Tonight, Max Resnick takes us through that videotape step by step, showing you what happened. It's new tonight at 5.
It takes just 30 seconds from the moment Terrence Walker enters Officer McMillan's view until that first shot is fired. What we've done is slowed the video down to show you their encounter moment by moment. We've also blurred out Walker's body, and we're not going to show you the shots fired by McMillan. You're seeing this from the officer's first-person perspective through the use of a body camera, which he wears on his head. 1 minute 22 seconds into the video, Terrence Walker appears in the parking lot standing next to a woman. A second later, Officer McMillan approaches and asks Walker to take his hands out of his pockets.
Sir, do me a favor, take your hands out of your pockets for me.
You see Walker pull his hands out of his pockets. In his right hand, a cell phone, which he switches to his left hand. He leaves one hand free. Then, Officer McMillan walks behind Walker, telling him he's going to check him over.
Let's go patch you down for weapons, okay? You got anything that's going to poke, stick up and hurt me?
Walker says no. Then McMillan tells him to relax several times before Walker breaks free and takes off through the parking lot.
Okay, just relax for me. Just relax. Relax. Why are you shaking for? Relax.
McMillan chases Walker down the parking lot, saying something inaudible, but alluding to the fact that Walker is running. Walker runs out of the lot, crosses the street as a white car approaches, and can be seen running away from the officer. You see Walker drop something. Muskogee police say the body camera shows it was a gun. Then you see McMillan's head turn as he goes to grab his weapon. When he turns back, you can see Walker turning to run again. At this point, police say the body camera clearly shows the suspect pointing the gun at the officer. We will not show what happens next, but we can tell you that the video shows Officer McMillan firing 5 rounds, some of which hit Walker. Walker rolls into the roadside ditch.
502, shots fired, shots fired!
A pastor from the church approaches, pleading with McMillan not to shoot.
Get back! I'm not! Get back!
Let me check on him! Let me check on him!
Get back!
Over the next minute, cars pass, more onlookers come out, and Muskogee police officers begin to arrive. McMillan tells them that Walker has a gun.
He's got a gun!
Then an officer grabs what appears to be a gun and tosses it away from Walker. McMillan runs around Walker's body, and you can see him pick up what appears to be a pistol with the hammer cocked.
He dropped it. We ran for him. He dropped it. He picked it up and pointed. He went like this. He had his hand. I was in a bad spot.
1 minute later, he asks if the gun is loaded.
His hammer's cocked on him, man. It's cocked.
McMillan reiterates to the officers that Walker faced him with the gun.
We ran for my card right here as he dropped the gun over here and picked it up and was facing me, so. I was going to pat him down. He's tensed up. So I had to go put him in cuffs. He bolted. He ran over here, dropped the gun. He fell, dropped the gun, picked it up and went like this. So I stepped back, Drew.
As the scene grows, another man approaches, saying he's the pastor, and says the officer followed procedure. 7 minutes into the video, McMillan pounds the back of a cop car, lets out an expletive and a big sigh. The video ends with McMillan and another officer's cruiser leaving the scene. The Muskogee Police Department says again that Officer McMillan is justified because he determined Walker was putting the officer and the general public in danger. They also say he was well out of range to use a taser. Max Resnick, 2 News works for you.
Well done, Max. Thanks. Now, you can tell from that video, it came down to a split-second decision. The officer had to decide and determine whether he and others are in danger. He also had to decide whether he's going to use lethal force. We talked to Muskogee PD today. They say they train for these types of incidents on a regular basis.
Officers arrived on scene.
Sergeant Mike Mahan has looked at the body cam video of Saturday's shooting many times. He believes the video proves the officer had the right to shoot.
Fumbles it a little bit, picks the item up again, turns in this manner toward the officer, and points the gun at the officer.
He says Muskogee police officers all go through shoot, don't shoot training.
We've recently went through that type of training where we go in a room, there's certain sets of targets, and you have to make that split-second determination on when to fire and when not to fire, including what's the individual holding in their hand, and you have to make that determination very quickly.
The sergeant says it's a decision you never want to have to make, but he says the threat of lethal force must be met with equal resistance, and in this case, he says 100 times out of 100, he believes a police officer would make the decision to pull the trigger.
I don't see him having any other choice in that circumstance. When you're faced with a lethal force, you have to respond with lethal force.
And tonight on 2 News at 6 o'clock, we're going to talk with Muskogee PD about their decision to wear body cams. They're the first police department in the entire state of Oklahoma for every officer to wear them. We'll take a look at whether or not it's a benefit for them and for the community at large. Now, our team coverage continues now with 2 News investigator Marla Carter. She has been looking into the events leading up to the shooting. She joins us back at the station with more on that. What'd you find out, Marla?
Well, Russ, we listened to the 911 call that the pastor made. In it, you can hear panic and urgency in his voice. Here is video from the pastor that we did an interview last week with him. The 911 call is about a minute and a half long. The pastor tells the dispatcher that a man is in the parking lot with a gun and he's threatened to kill a woman at the church. The pastor doesn't waste much time. He quickly states what he needs. Take a listen.
I see why people get killed. It's 1115 North 24. He's here with a gun. I need a police officer here because I got to stop it. It's a whole bunch of people here, and I don't need nobody hurt. Old Agency Baptist Church. I got to go out here on the parking lot.
Now you can hear the entire phone call on our website, KJRH.com. The OSBI is conducting the investigation into the shooting. We'll hear from them coming up tonight on 2 News at 6. Live in the newsroom, Marla Carter, 2 News works for you.
I'm Marla, thanks. And Pastor Andre Jones was performing a wedding here in the exact parking lot where we are now. Stephen Romo's been talking with him today to get his reaction now to this videotape being released. What's he saying?
Yeah, Russ, he says the video is not shocking to him because he was standing right by the cop whenever he actually ended up making those fatal shots. He says it's not surprising to him at all of what happened. He says he also saw the text messages that were threatening, along with hearing calls that Walker made to his girlfriend while she was inside the church. Now, Pastor Jones called 911 as Marla just gave us that audio of that call. She says Terrence then showed up and we talked to him the day of that shooting and by phone today because he's out of state. He says he did not want anyone to get hurt. He even told the officer he could handle Terrence, but he says once the officer saw that gun, he knew it was too late.
Did you think the officer was justified in shooting him?
I mean, you know, that's a hard thing. You know, I mean, the officer knew he had a weapon. When he turned towards the officer, I'm quite sure the officer felt threatened.
Now, Pastor Jones says he, of course, feels for Walker's parents. He says he didn't want anyone to get hurt in this incident. He led a gathering after that shooting calling for peace here in Muskogee. I also talked to the mom of Walker's girlfriend as well as the mother of the bride here. And coming up tonight at 6, we'll hear more what they had to say about what happened that night.
All right, a lot of reaction today, Stephen. Thanks. We have much more on this new video of the police shooting coming up just a few minutes on our newscast. How the people here in Muskogee are responding, what you're saying on Facebook and KJRH.com. Also, this memorial back here still stands as people continue to stop by and pay respects. And we'll have more on that for you on 2 News at 6 as well. All right, some other headlines now. New at 5. The Supreme Court is stepping into the issue of lethal injections for the first time since 2008 in an appeal filed by death row inmates in Oklahoma. The justices agreed today to review whether the sedative midazolam can be used in executions because of concerns that condemned prisoners could experience intense and needless pain before death. More on this developing story coming up tonight on 2 News at 10. All right, happening now in Green Country. People gearing up for what should be a pretty nice weekend. Want to check in with 2 News Storm Shield Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony for an update on the weekend forecast. Brett.
March, early April weather. That's what we're going to experience this weekend. Daytime highs in the upper 50s to low 60s, and we typically see that about 2 months from now. But we don't have to wait that long. We're going to see that within about 24 hours. Tomorrow should be really nice. Late March-like temperatures as we head toward this warm-up. This evening, we had a high of around 51 degrees. This evening, temperatures are starting to fall back quickly into the 40s right now. They'll eventually fall back into the 30s with clear skies out there and great conditions, light winds. So I expect a very quick cool down of the temperatures. In fact, between now and midnight, the temperatures falling into the 30s under these clear skies. Then tomorrow, really nice Saturday, beautiful Sunday, even better Monday. Sunday, we have a concern for some grass fires. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes, Russ.
Well, we're certainly ready for a warm-up. Brett, thanks. Well, still ahead, community reaction to the newly released video of the police-involved shooting here in Muskogee. Also later, new Deflategate developments, what the NFL's now saying about its investigation into the Patriots' use of underinflated footballs. We're glad you're watching. 2 News works for you at 5.